You guys have been asking for these for a very long time, so I'm going to go sit in front of this camera and unbox them. We're going to see them for the first time together. These are one of the most requested pairs of gloves on the channel. So with that said, let's unbox them. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and like I tell you guys all the time, I see all of your comments. I respond to most all of them. I think my YouTube analytics says that I have a 95% response rate, which I think is pretty good. But basically, these gloves are one of the most popular requests on the channel that I've ever had, from the first model that came out to the second one, and you're probably reading the title, knowing exactly what's in this box so far. We are going to unbox the very popular, arguably one of the most popular winning clones on the market today. These are the C17s by Ring to Cage, their Japanese style training glove. Now, I'm actually pretty familiar with Ring to Cage because I've used a ton of their gear over the years. In fact, I've fought in a lot of their gear, whether it be in kickboxing bouts, whether it be using headgear for USA boxing matches, whether it be using them for MMA gloves or shin guards in my old novice days. But I have been around Ring to Cage for a while, and Ring to Cage in general has been a brand that's really stuck around for a long time. They're a massive wholesaler of gloves. They have a lot of different people that use these. I mean, they were using Ring to Cage style gear when I started MMA when I was 14 years old. I'm 26 now, so 12 years ago, I remember those amateur fights in New York when it was still illegal professionally in New York, using Ring to Cage amateur fight gloves, which is really cool. So they've been around for a long time. I want to say since the mid 2000s, maybe even early 2010s. I cannot remember the exact date. I did not do a whole ton of research on them as a brand, but in general, they are a massive wholesaler. Most of their stuff is based out of Pakistan and made in Pakistan, and they make things that basically appeal to everybody. In some ways, they are what a lot of people would consider like the MMA version of title boxing. If they see a Mexican style boxing glove, they'll make something like that. And in this case, they have a Japanese style boxing glove. Now, the only difference between Title and Ring to Cage, in my opinion, is that most things Ring to Cage makes actually isn't that bad. I have a couple pairs of mitts that I absolutely love using by Ring to Cage, some MMA sparring gloves that I love using by Ring to Cage, and on top of it, you can even go online and get some custom stuff. They have like blank things without logos. You can bring them to your own print shop. I know a ton of local promotions that do that. They actually buy from Ring to Cage their blank fight gloves and then just go to a local print shop and have it like scanned onto the glove. They'll say things like, an example for this promotion that actually doesn't do that, but Cage Wars, right? Stuff like that. Or maybe you want to do Al's MMA promotion. I can just do that. So it's cool that Ring to Cage has a lot of that stuff. And most of their stuff is made pretty decent quality, and it just basically halves the price. Like my short the other day where I talked about why so many people copy winning and make so many winning clones, simply because they are a great pair of gloves and you can make them cheaply so people can actually buy a Japanese style training glove without spending $400. These I bought for $99 actually off of Ring to Cage, and I used them for, I got free shipping too, and they were still at my house within, I think, 2 or 3 days. So actually the shipping wasn't bad on these. But I know you didn't click on this to find out about Ring to Cage and find out about things like that. You came to look at the gloves. So let's go ahead and start the unboxing. So unfortunately for me, the tape is on there pretty good, so I'd have to yank it back instead of just cavemanning it open like I always do. But I do see a hole on the side of the box, so we might just start there. Let's see. Oh yeah. I find a hat, got the caveman everything. Finesse, who needs that? All right, here they are. Cool. So here are the gloves in the package. Basically for me, in general, I wanted winning blue because I don't know why the winning blue gloves just stand out to me, but the color schemes that Ring to Cage does not look like winning red, blue, white, or anything like that. They kind of look more of like a brighter version or more of like a diluted version, meaning like the color's kind of like fading away from it. And I wasn't a fan of the blue color there, so I went with red because honestly red just kind of works with everything. Red reminds me of classic boxing gloves. Let's go ahead and open these. Oh, they actually have a really good, nice leather smell. That's not bad, but you can definitely tell, and it's kind of funny how you can tell that it is Pakistan leather by the way it smells, which I'm pretty sure most everything Ring to Cage makes is a Pakistan made glove. Oh, is it a replacement lace? They give you a replacement lace? That's kind of cool. In a little tiny Ziploc bag. Cool. Right off the bat, actually, the color in person does make it look a little bit more like full. And I will say that the glove is standing up a little bit more than I thought it would compared to winning, which we'll take the winnings out in a second. But they stand up pretty good. But I mean, they copied virtually everything from winning down to the last seam in a lot of ways. There's definitely some differences here, don't get me wrong, but it feels really good right off the bat. The leather is actually pretty smooth and supple, and like I said, I can tell it's a Pakistan type leather because it feels just like the same leather that you'd get in, say, like a ringside glove like this, which all of ringside is basically made in Pakistan, which is completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I actually like Pakistan made gloves in a lot of ways. But usually a lot of other Pakistan gloves use like an IMF tech foam, but in this case they use a layered foam technique, and they just say on the website it's an impact absorbing layered foam technique. The thumb is nice and soft, the knuckles are nice and soft, the back of the hand, I actually like this here. It's actually a little bit more rigid of a foam towards the bottom, so I think that would actually kind of secure your wrist a little bit more. But let's go ahead and unlace these two. Now the one thing, the laces definitely look a little bit like more spread apart instead of having it like here, 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 here. It's just there, there, and there, and it just goes up that way. I don't know if they're going to be easy to unravel compared. Yeah, they're pretty easy to unravel. That's good. So the eyelids move pretty good. Although most gloves, honestly, the eyelids do move pretty well. And that's important for me. So the glove opens up pretty good, as I figured it would. And then the cool thing about this, the interior lining actually has Ring to Cage's logo all over, which is pretty nice. And the interior lining, they said in the description of the glove, they made it thicker than before. And yep, there it is, 16 ounce, made in Pakistan. And I knew that because of the leather, but you can see that tag right there. But the interior lining, when I'm putting this glove on, feels pretty, ooh, that's comfy. That's really comfortable, actually. Wow. So would I say it feels just like a winning? Pretty close, but it's definitely like in the grip bar area. Grip bar is definitely a little bit, for one, fatter and a little bit stiffer, but opens and closes very good. I would say that maybe opening it is a lot easier than closing it, though. Not much of a difference. It's still very easy to make a nice form-fitting fist, and your thumb is really curved in like a winning style. I remember watching reviews from C-Squared and Fit to Box saying that the original glove's thumb was fat like a Mexican style glove compared to the Japanese style thumb that you have going on here. But you can see that the stitch was actually made separate, which is cool. But overall, yeah, I mean, they kind of look pretty good. The logo is actually super reflective. Look at how much the light just catches that off. Let's go ahead and tighten the laces here. All right, so the laces are now pretty much tightened on my arm, and that feels pretty good, actually. If I just take that over just so I can kind of get a feel of it. Lines up with my wrist good. That's one thing that this glove is doing well. A lot of the places on the wrist, it's actually an old school boxing technique with old school gloves, is you would actually take it up and call it pinching, because you pinch, that's where your wrist would rest. My wrist is actually right here where that seam meets, so I'm able to really just take that up and across like that, and then it would end up down here to finish up the lace. So it really has nice lace tracks, which is good. And I do like that a lot. And the laces are actually relatively long for the glove, I will say that. The only thing I don't like about the laces, which is such a minute complaint, is that they fray all over the place. My table cover is just covered in a ton of different white fuzzies all over the place. But in general, it's nice and comfortable. I can't feel my knuckles on the inside. Really nice support on the back of the hand too. I like that this is stiffer foam towards the back, and I like the fit and feel of the glove. And for a 16-ounce glove, it has a lot of room, just like the Winnings do in general too. So I can definitely see you, if you have like knuckle problems, if you need to really wrap your hands up tight, or if you like using your NG2 knuckle guards, wrapping your hands up big like that, this glove would fit that for sure. Really easy to open and close. I'd still say like closing it, I do have to force the fist a little bit, but I think that's just because the foam needs to break in a little bit. Definitely I can see this glove because it feels broken in already. The leather's nice, smooth, and supple. I could definitely see this glove breaking in very easily, and I do really like these so far. But let's go ahead and take out the pair of Winnings and kind of compare these a little bit. Okay, so what I did is I took out the Winning MS600 and compared them to the last stitch. I took them out and examined them to the C17 by Ring to Cage. And basically, I've come to a couple conclusions. For one, obviously, no, this is not the same quality as Winning. The leather is a little bit lighter. Still good quality leather that you have going on here. The padding on the inside is definitely not the same build as Winning to a T, because I think that's an expensive mechanism to use. But I mean, Ring to Cage really did try their best to get every last detail that they could with this glove to replicate Winning, so you can buy an affordable Japanese style training glove. Now there are a lot of other brands out there that do stuff very similar to this, but this glove has really won a lot of people's hearts over the last couple of years because of that reason. You don't need to buy winning to get a nice quality training glove. These go for the same price as a lot of gloves out there, like a Everlast Power Lock leather version goes for $100. These go for $100. Some Hayabusa gloves go for $100 or more, and they aren't exactly what people like as far as boxers go. So if you have a boxer, or even like the Title Boxing, their Fury line, some people don't like those. They think they really missed the mark as far as winning goes, and that's why people like gloves like these. Or I personally like, for a winning clone, things like the Win 1 by Top Boxer, or say a Super Soft by Sabas, or you can think of a bunch of other gloves out there that really try and replicate winning, such as Superior Boxing, right? Things like that. So that's kind of what you have going on here. They made a very nice winning clone that's inexpensive for you. It's not a cheaply made glove. Learn the difference between cheap and inexpensive. This is inexpensive. Cheap would mean that it's going to fall apart in 5 days. I definitely think this could last you a good chunk of time. I don't know yet because I haven't used them. I'm just unboxing them, but kind of talking about the similarities and differences of the glove for me is that this glove is just slightly taller and wider. That's it. If you talk about the look of the glove, you can see that this glove is maybe half an inch taller. It's a little bit wider on the back, and that's about that. When we come along to the curvature of the knuckles and the thumb, you can see that it's virtually the same. The only difference is I think the thumb on this is maybe like a hair wider, which I know the original glove, the 1.0 version of the C17 had like a Mexican style thumb, but they got rid of that and they made it more of the Japanese style curved thumb. And they also have that stitch indicating that it was placed on separately. That way you have more mobility with your thumb and a better thumb placement. That way it's not in a weird spot like everyone else does. You can see even the stitching along the side of the glove here is the same. And on top of it, I think really the only big glaring difference I saw is that the piping maybe sticks out a little bit more on the thumb here compared to this one. The laces, you can see that they have different numbers of tracks. You only have 4 on this, 1, 2, 3, 4 track laces compared to this having 7. You can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tracks going along there for laces, which does not really make that much of a difference for wrist support or anything. That's just what they chose to do. It's not going to make that big of a difference, trust me. It'll still fit on pretty good. I'd say that the palm padding on this glove is much softer than the one Ring Decades has, and you can see it can kind of like wring out like a towel a little bit, whereas this one, not as much towards the bottom. It does stop it from curving in pretty good. So you have actually a pretty hard rubberized foam type feel down here. It's a little bit softer up at this part, but inside here, it kind of feels like the same padding that they used in the knuckles, only if it was slightly stiffer, which isn't a bad thing at all. It'll still hug to your wrist and keep your palm nice and padded. The other thing too that's very similar, even down to the font of the glove across there where it says 16 ounce, looks very similar to the Winning, and the grip bar goes all the way across the palm instead of the Winning glove where it only starts about an inch into the side, if you can see that here. The white glove does make it a little bit difficult for that. But as far as that goes, you can see it starts in there. And I imagine that's so you can get like a nice natural squeeze, because if my hand ever opens, it's never this way, it's this way with certain gloves, because the grip bar just gets in the way. But like I said, the grip bar, the palm, the back of the wrist is maybe a little bit stiffer. But I mean, to give you an idea of how close they got it, even down to the stitching, look at the stitching of the palm on the Winning here, right? It goes up and circles in there, and then you have one piece of stitch going up that way, right? And the only difference is, for me, is that the stitching is a little bit more of a box type shape going up this way. As you can see, it goes up here and then out towards the side. It goes out towards the side here instead of up here, which is such a minute difference that no one besides me who collects gloves and is trying to show you every possible difference and inspects these things thoroughly every time I get them would be able to ever even sniff that out. So for me, they did a really good job of trying to copy Winning in all those ways, which is why this is revered as one of the best Winning clones on the market today. So in general, the Ring Decade C17 2.0s that I just unboxed, I'm actually thoroughly impressed with. I purposely got them in laces because I really wanted to try them and see how similar they were to my Winnings. Like I said, in general, for me, it's just slightly taller, barely, and I mean barely, slightly taller and barely wider than the than the MS600 that I have for Winning. The lining is definitely a little bit different. It's not so much that stretched nylon. It's more of a nice puffy interior lining, which I'm more of a fan of in general. The leather is definitely a little bit bit more smooth and supple because it's still not as expensive. For me, I think it's a genuine leather instead of like a top grain leather. And genuine, most people think, well, that means it's real. Well, genuine's actually one of the lower standards of leather. It's mostly a lot of real leather scraps that are made together and made into a hide is what they use. It's what a lot of cheap like hats and wallets are made of is genuine leather, which isn't bad though. But that's basically what we have going on here. In general, it feels good. The padding feels good. The curvature of the thumb feels good. It's comfortable. The eyelids move out pretty quick for an inexpensive glove. And I do think, I haven't used them yet, but I can definitely tell that I'm going to be able to kind of decipher what these gloves are within a few uses. They definitely need to be broken in just a little bit, probably 2 or 3 rounds on the bag. I would see these just kind of softening up already, which is nice. But in general, I'm a fan of them so far, and I can't wait to actually use them. So these were fun to unbox, and if you have any questions, as always, comment below and let me know the next pair of gloves I should look into. I got a lot of gloves on the back order at this point in time, and once again, I'm not made of money. I wish I was, but I am going to continue to use these and keep getting some more gloves for you guys. But as always, thank you so much for choosing your Social Combat Sports, the Combat Corporation. I've been your host, Tyler the Postmaster Morrow, and as always, I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.